Hey guys, I wanted to give you a quick tip on floating elements and borders next to them. So we have the real-time documentation being created, and on one of the pages, well, the way this page is set up is it's a fixed width 950. We have a left column and a right column. These are floated left elements, okay? So what that means is, and this element on the left has a right side border. If I go to notify, we see that the left side doesn't extend the border all the way down, but we see that the right side is really long. Well, we can't just switch the border to be on the left or the right side now, because then we're just trying to guess. We really need a correct way to always make these sides even. And you're saying, well, they are even, it's just not the border. Well, actually, if I inspect this element, we can see that that div actually stops right here. And there's no CSS that I can do with it floating to be able to tell it to stretch to the bottom. I can't do height 100%. I can't do height inherit. I'd have to set the height every time I needed to know it. And that's not good. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the floating elements. Okay, so I'm going to do this here first. So if we look down here in the code, we've got this element floated left and this element floated left. Okay, if we take the float off of this element, which I can't do because if I undo this, it'll do all of them. But what I'm going to add to this is position absolute, which will kill the float, and that also kills the layout. And then I'll say bottom, okay, 0 pixels. That stretches it to the bottom. But you see another problem. It's kind of crazy up here. And that's because when you have an absolute positioned element that you want inside its parent, which is this element, this is the parent element, if we want the absolute position to be contained by the parent, then the parent needs to be position relative. So we will set position relative, and now you can see it's contained. However, it's down here. Why is that? Well, that's because it's actually in the right spot, but it needs to be at the top. Okay, so not only do we need to do bottom 0, but we also need to do top 0. Okay, top 0 pixels. So now it's all the way stretched. You know, you're saying, well, it's overlaying the other content. Well, that's true, it is. This div is 200 pixels wide, so if we just go to our right side div now and just say margin left 200 pixels, we now get the exact same effect we just had, except this bar on the side now stretches to the bottom. See this? How it stretches all the way down to the bottom. Okay? So now what you've just seen here is we've taken two divs that were positioned floating left on each other, that the border wasn't stretching to the bottom. And all we had to do to fix that was by telling the right side div to be margin left, the width of this left side div, and tell the left side div to be position absolute, top 0, bottom 0. And in order for top 0, bottom 0 to work, where you can stay within the parent element, the parent has to be position relative.